What is going on, YouTube people? Neo here with a special guest today to talk national. We have Hannah from She Collects Cards. What's going
Hi
on,
everyone.
Hannah?
What's up? What's
Second
happening?
time on the channel for Hannah, and I had the pleasure of actually meeting her in person along with a bunch of other content creators at the National this past week, which was an insane time. And if you ever see Hannah on the show floor, wear tennis shoes because she moves. The one time when I ran into you, I think it was the second time I saw you on the show floor. I said, "What's up, Hannah?" And you're like, "Slap stocks booth," and then you were just like gone.
Everything's a very timely thing, Neo.
Yeah. So it was both of our first nationals. So I guess we'll just kind of start with the basics. Like any major, macro level takeaways after walking and hanging out there for a couple days.
Oh man, yeah, lots of them, and I don't want to repeat what's already out there. So I'll just say, simply put, like I think the market is hotter than ever. It's stronger than ever. May not just be like a money thing anymore. It's actually like just really passion, having fun, people just wanting and craving this. And you could just physically sense that on the showroom. So yeah, sports card is hotter than ever in that sense.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's gonna, I don't know if it's gonna reflect in charts and graphs or whatever the next couple weeks with prices or whatever, but I felt the vibe, for lack of a better term, was really good coming. Like it was just positive energy the entire weekend, and it feels like even post weekend, the way most people are talking are like almost regardless of what card prices do, if they go up, go down, stay flat, like it seems like a good amount of people that came into the hobby during COVID are, yeah, some left when things dipped, but it feels like once we kind of clear out everything, like it's going to be more people than ever and stronger than ever was kind of my take from it after being there for
Absolutely.
3 days.
Yeah, agreed.
My other big takeaway was we're outnumbered and we're old in the card scene. Like,
Don't include me in this. I'm probably right in the middle, okay?
oh, that's true. You're the one. Weren't you the one? Oh, wait, hold on a second. Weren't you the one when we were in line for something that said all these old people in their 40s? Was that you or was that Sam? I think
I
that
think
was
that was
you, wasn't it?
yeah, that has to be Sam. I would never say such a thing.
I'm pretty sure it was you. Now that I think about it, you're like all these old people in their 40s, and I just turned 40 about 3 months ago.
Belated congratulations.
Jeez. But I mean, the number of let's say sub 21-year-old all the way down to like 10 and 12 years old, if not younger, was crazy to me.
Yeah, same. It's mind-boggling that these young people are so passionate about this, and it makes me think like, what was I doing at that age, right? And I think the coolest part, really, when I was dealing, I have one story that really depicts this. Like, this man comes over with a Jordan PSA 4, Jordan Fleer 86 PSA 4, and then his son walks by with him, and he, just I would guess him to be like around 10, maybe 9. And he like shows me the card and he's like, so I have this card that I pulled when I was his age, um, that I had in my desk that I recently got graded and it came back a 4. And we are on this mission to get a higher grade of Jordan, right? And so they were kind of, proposing like a trade deal where they would give me that card plus cash for my Jordan 85 that I had on laying out during trade night. Ended up not happening in terms of the deal, but it was just like really cool that like it was their kind of trip together, their mission to like get a higher graded card, like an upgrade to a higher grade card. I think that's just really cool. Like how many people get to share a hobby, as a family, right? And not like fake it or like be half there, but like really like enjoy it together. So I thought that was super cool. Yeah.
I know at Ryan's trade night, which you weren't in yet for that on Thursday night, there was a father son that sat down that did a deal with Flipping Steve, who was next to me at the same table. Um, and it was a very similar situation. It wasn't like they were looking to upgrade to Jordan, but like you could, like the dad was there with his kid. I'm not sure how much the dad was involved in the hobby per se, but he kind of, it looked like he had a general idea of what was going on. But he was just kind of like letting the kid do his thing, and it's just, and same thing. This kid was probably 9, 10, 11 years old.
Yeah.
Like the number of, especially little kid, like what I'm going to call little kids, like that 8 to 12 to 13 to 14-year-old range, there was a lot of them. And like, especially, to kind of transition into the next thing a little bit, like there's the show during the day, and then there's the second show
The
at
real
night at the
show.
Lowe's hotel, or at Ryan's trade night or whatever. But these second shows or trade nights, whatever you want to call them, I'm referring to them as second shows because that's almost what it turns into. Um, that is just like run by like that teenage preteen crowd. Like we were talking pre-show, it's like 12:30 at night. There's like 14-year-old kids with like their 2, 3, 4K Lucas just slinging deals in this hotel lobby. Like we're like, what is going on?
Yeah, absolutely. Like that was quite awesome to see, and I was telling them like, "Isn't it past your bedtime?" Because it definitely is past mine. But they were fired up with their Red Bulls, and like like even going beyond just the sports cards and like the national that we were just at, like like this generation is scary, like the Gen Z and then the alpha to come. This generation is they're born hustlers. They don't follow rules. They always try to break, the rules, and sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a bad way. But I like they're a different breed. They think so differently than the generations before, and are willing to put in the work for it too, which is amazing. But yeah, it's like super cool. Like I know some of the big dealers that I know, for example, like All Star 23. I don't know if you know him on Instagram. He's a junior in high school, dealing 60K Kobe's, 120K LeBron's. I mean, it's mind boggling, but he does it so well. He does it like his finesse is there, and yeah, absolutely nothing but respect for people like that.
Yeah, I mean, just like what is going to be like? These are going to be the kids that are like running Apple and Google, and you know what I mean. Like they're slinging these deals and building these collections and like understanding like all this, basically running their own business at like
Right.
literally 13, 14, 15 years old and running circles around us. To be quite
Yeah.
frank,
Yeah, our future is definitely in good hands. Um, I just hope they write it out all in a manual so we can follow along in their in
seriously,
their innovations. But yeah,
I'm more concerned with them fleecing my case than I am the future of the hobby. Because they, especially the little kids, like they know what they're doing. They're like put the little face on, and then they walk away, and they're like, "Ha
yeah. So I mean, it's a good thing, right? Like with anything, whether it's hobby or profit-seeking innovations or whatever it is, like you always want younger generation and younger talents to come in and continue to fuel that industry. So that's another like great sign of like, hey, this hobby itself is not going to like suddenly boom go away like it did in like the 2000s, right? Or whatever. Like I don't think that's going to happen with like all the layers of technology and innovation that's going to really push it forward, I think so.
The other thing you see too with these trade nights is, to me, um, you see a lot more diversity and stuff too. Like it's
Yeah.
not the hobby of like me, of like 40-year-old middle-aged white guys. It's like there's young kids in there. There's mixed race. There's girls. There's moms. There's dads. There's
Mhm.
moms and dads with their kids. Like it's
Yeah.
the trade nights to me really brought that out because in the show floor, I think that stuff gets lost because there's just a lot
Mhm.
going on out there. There's a sea of humanity, but
Mhm.
those nighttime activities are just dominated by like this new breed that's just, they're just in it like 110%, and
I
they're
love it.
just wild.
I love it. Like I met collectors who flew in for the national from a different country, from Asia, which was really really cool to see. And another cool thing, like, is kind of like to address that passion factor that we all saw and experienced at the show was like if you remember at Lowe's at that kind of like next to the lobby hallway, I guess,
Mhm.
trade night, there was a terrible reception. It was hard to find like what the comps are for like some cards. At least for me, I have AT&T. But guess what? Like there wasn't like much of a, oh, like I need to go check comps like out in the lobby. I'll come back. It was very like either one, they knew their like value on top, like they were so on top of the cards that they were collecting, that we didn't really need a third party to verify each other. We would say one thing, and we agreed that this card should probably be valued around that, right? And go with that. And so there's like less of, I don't know, like I feel like last year when I was attending shows here in Southern California, it was very like money oriented. Oh, this is like $1 above comp. This is $10 above comp. Like, can you meet me at comp? Like always kind of like playing that dance. But for some reason, with this show, it was a lot more of, what do you value it at? I value it at here. The comp might say this, the comp might say that. I don't know what the comp is, but this is what I value it at. And if you agree, then a deal happens, right? So like it's definitely more heart and passion driven. Like people are literally doing it for fun. I think you could tell from their faces, right? Versus like, I need to squeeze another dollar out of my margins here, kind of thing. So
Yeah, and I think a lot of people have seen video of the Lowe's Hotel, but I was there Friday night and Saturday night, and Saturday night made Friday night look like a playground. Saturday night was absolutely insane.
yeah,
There was, I don't know, what would you call that? Like 150 table card show? Like because it went all the way down that hallway, all
yeah,
the way back to that receiving
yeah,
area, and there was like layers of tables in like that big rectangle room area. Then there was just people on the floor.
yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know how many tables were in there, but that was like better than any of my regional shows, like by a lot.
Yeah, no, I would say, yeah, that's probably a good guess, like about 100 to 150 tables. And I remember I wanted to do some trades, but it just like kind of got so packed that I couldn't just pull out my cards from my backpack and like try to do deals. So like I asked one of the gentlemen, like, hey, can I share part of that table that you're using to display your cards? And I ended up doing that. People were grabbing the floor, people were grabbing the sofa to like showcase their cards. It was just absolutely insane. Never seen anything like that. Yeah, it was just really, really crazy.
The Saturday night at the Lowe's, I think, was the craziest thing that I saw the entire time I was there. Like that Saturday night Lowe's experience, I feel like was the most wild thing at the entire. I was there when it first started because I
Mm,
got there kind of early,
right.
and they kicked everyone out of the lobby, and I had just hijacked the table out of a conference room.
Oh, nice.
And then they kicked everybody out, and everyone came running back there and like ripping open these conference rooms, and we're pulling tables. You literally just, I watched a card show set up in 5 minutes. It was insane.
Yeah, with
Tables were flying, they were getting knocked over, people didn't care. Like, I don't know what the hotel thought about that, but
yeah.
but
They're
I don't know
probably
what
not
they could
doing that
do.
again. But yeah, it just like you can't make this stuff up, and you don't see this kind of things happening in a non-passionate conference, let's say, right? So
It almost makes me think, and I have no idea how you would do this. If someone had the space and the tables, like if you just did like a free pop-up card show, like, and announced it, like especially somewhere like out in California where you guys have like the people, like, and you don't have, I don't want to say like the old guard dealers, but to your
yeah,
point earlier, like the new guard is much more back and forthy, like more
mhm,
willing to trade. Like they grew up with wanting to trade back and forth. Like the cash part isn't as important.
right,
Just the fact that you could make almost like fantasy sports, like just doing the transaction is the action is the juice, to steal a quote from Heat.
yeah,
Like they have that mentality versus the card show part during the day is much more transactional, as in
mhm,
cash for product.
mhm.
Whereas the night, it's just more of let's play fantasy GM for 6 hours
Pretty much.
type thing. It-
Um,
and that was my big takeaway is that when you go to the national now, and maybe this is just going forward, it's two shows. There's the daytime, which is completely different from the nighttime. And I feel like you need to be equipped you need cash. My takeaway was you need cash for daytime. And then if
in
you have
card,
good trade stuff and a little bit of cash, you could do a lot of damage at night.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, that's one of my strategies for next year's show national is to rest during the day when the showroom is open, and get up, eat a good dinner, and then head to the trade nights every single day that I'm there. That's really where all the action is. And like Burbank Sports Cards, like they moved to a new location recently, and they did a trade night, and I think it was a huge success for them as well. Like not like they obviously don't profit much as a store, although I think they were buying and selling as well. But like, it's just like that's what the hobby's about, you know? This is what it's about, like the meeting people, the doing the deals, getting cards that you want without like having to break the bank, but then, you know, showcasing your collection that you have accumulated so far and seeing if there's room for some kind of a trade. And then you both go home happy of acquiring this brand new card into your collection. Like that's what kind of like fuels this, like you know, in up and downturn. So I hope that it happens more here, and I'm sure it will. But yeah, like every show that happens from now on, they should have a trade night.
Yeah, whether it's organized or
Or
just
not. They don't
pop
have to.
up.
Just like someone has to just say, "Hey, everybody come to this lobby," and it happens, right?
Yeah, I was listening to the Card Talk pod today. They dropped their national video, and they were talking towards the end about like specifically Ryan's trade night because he's obviously a host on that
Yeah,
show. About how like it should be like a next level event type thing. Like it should be that corporate sponsors want to sponsor
absolutely.
the ballroom for a major trade night because they want to, as part of it, either get their name out there or announce a product. And there should be, does a DJ want to come in or a musical act to close out the show, quote unquote.
Yeah.
I don't know if that jumps the shark at some point, but I think there's a lot of value in either putting on something more formal like Ryan's or having the support for like these pop-up ones. And I
Oh,
know,
yeah, like,
oh,
if
go
it
ahead.
were, like, you know, if I kinda wanted to get some skin in the game too, I would totally show up with some booze, sell Coors Light or something like like, just 20 bucks, I don't know, like, whatever it is, and I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, it's a really, really poppin' event, I would say, yeah.
Yeah, to your point about Burbank trade nights, like I've been to Card Collector Two's done two trade nights since he's opened his new shop. I've been to both of them. And I think where the shop profits off of it is the inventory that walks in the door that is just looking that this shop could pick up. Because I
Mm,
know, like at Ryan's, he's basically at the counter the entire time with someone's case in front of him making deals.
mm,
So I
mm,
think to them, they look at it as like, oh, cool, I'm going to have 75 people just bring fresh inventory for me to look at and like
yeah,
go through and, pick up new stuff for the shop to flip or whatever. And you
exactly.
get that many people in the room, someone's going to buy something, whether it's
Yeah,
sleeves or boxes. I know at Ryan's, people end up usually ripping wax spontaneously,
mhm, yeah,
pack battling, stuff like that's bound to happen.
exactly.
So
It's
plus it's good marketing and PR. And I think what Ryan's done with the trade nights there, I think is, other shops are probably looking at that like Burbank and some of these other ones and like, hey, we could do that like
mhm,
easily. Like especially if we have the space for it. That's the biggest problem. The space.
exactly. Yeah, I 100% agree.
So in regards to the actual show itself, um I, quite frankly, the thing that I've heard about the most, which I know that you talked about last time you were on, is F1 seems to be the hot. I would say, I don't know. Have you heard like usually there's a player of the show. I don't know that I've heard one coming out of the national, but I have heard more F1 buzz than anything else. I guess maybe
Yeah.
Hamilton's the player of the show. I don't know, but it doesn't
Um,
seem like there's
there were, couple higher end Hamilton refractors being traded, or sold, I guess, but there were even crazier, players' cards pulled, and graded at the show that I know about, which is absolutely insane, like, you can't find that on eBay, you can't find that on Discord. It was only at the national. Yeah.
Yeah, and it seemed like on the sports side of things, it seemed like this specific national was kind of like an amalgamation of, Brady was hot, LeBron was a little warm, Jordan was moving, but there wasn't one dominant force.
Right.
The one thing I've heard post national, which we were talking about earlier, was or before we started recording, was basically F1 wax seems to have gotten the biggest bump. I mean, they're up almost what 20-30% in sealed
Yeah.
wax boxes just coming off the national alone.
Right,
Um,
exactly, and I don't think you can secure one right now if you wanted to, you know, even at that, last sold price. So what you're seeing is, like, the last sold is getting beaten every single time because of the scarcity of these waxes. So
I have to imagine that's not a large print run either, right? Because they probably didn't
no,
know what they were stepping into when they ran this. So
exactly.
they were probably like, okay, let's print some and see what happens.
Yeah, and the print run is terrible. They didn't put in too much effort into it, let me tell you. Um,
Can you talk about that for? I know. So is it specifically? Is it all Topps Chrome or is it just Sapphire that had printing issues, or is it all of it?
so both Topps Chrome and Topps Chrome Sapphire refractor cards have the same exact, and probably 9 out of 10 cards, maybe even 18 out of 20 cards, have the very specific kind of nip in the back, in the same exact spot, almost like the machine like chewed through it as it was kind of releasing the card. Um, so yeah, it's a very prevalent like issue that we're seeing.
So essentially, like a refractor in a BGS 9.5 or PSA 10 is going to be like a unicorn, if it even
Absolutely.
happens.
Absolutely. Everything except the 70th anniversary refractor, which is a unique out of 70 card that they did. So for some reason, 70th is okay for the most part, but everything else that you can think about, purple, orange, gold, red, they all have it.
And I wasn't necessarily looking for it because I don't follow the F1 market, but I appreciate the people's passion for it. Was there a lot of F1 on the show floor? Because to me, I saw it like I know that I saw it at least 3 or 4, maybe 5 booths. But was there a lot out there? Was there a lot of sealed boxes at the National, or did it just all get gobbled up by the people that wanted it, like on the first couple days?
Yeah, so I got there Friday. Not sure what happened on Wednesday, to be honest, but from just recollecting right now, there were 4 dealers who had relevant F1 cards. Actually, five dealers, but they weren't just F1 dealers. They were majority like everything else, and then they had 1 or 2 big F1 card along in that collection, like kind of in the corner, right? Because you already have the LeBron Exquisite. You're not going to put that next to it. So like it was always on that corner. So it's very scarce. And the purchase that I had, my biggest purchase of F1 at the show, it wasn't on a showcase. It was in the dealer's backpack.
So you
So,
hunted you hunted that one down, right?
oh yeah, absolutely. Like it was a series of texting around. Where are you? Where is this person? Where is this person's backpack? And then came the begging part, like, please, can I have it? It was definitely work, I would say.
Yeah. It seems like the demand, like, I don't know the number of people that were at the National that were looking for F1, but the ones that were really looking for F1 and not afraid to spend to get what they wanted. And if that meant outbidding the other, I don't know, 5% of the national attendee, whatever it was,
Right.
that they would go to the mat for the stuff if they really wanted it. Like it seems very vicious, I guess, for the
Yeah.
market right now, at least at the national.
It's when I kind of, think back to it, I'm realizing that it's probably because overwhelming majority of people who have been in F1 prior to, let's say, the national, well, we didn't get into F1 to flip. You know what I mean? So we weren't like hunting down cards to hold it for a week and then sell it off or whatnot. So honestly, like even as dealers who had those cards, they didn't want to take comp prices of what sold on eBay yesterday because they are collecting these, like literally collecting it. Like an F1 as a sport, it's a very, addictive like sport. Like once you watch those races, there's no way that you will stop watching it, even if it's like 6 a.m. your time. And so they absolutely love that player. Then even as a dealer, they're not willing to let it go. And like one dealer that I talked to pulled, or no, actually not pulled, he bought a superfractor 1 of 1 of Lando Norris, who is a very relevant F1 driver right now, and then got the card graded, and he, got it for a certain price, and then I, sat there and literally talked to him for like 3 hours, trying to convince him to like let it go, right? Telling him how much I love F1, talking to him about F1 events, like we're just talking, and eventually at the end of the day, he's like, like the only way I would move this card is like literally like an outrageous number in cash. And I agree with that. Like if I was in his position, I would do the same, right? Like I don't care what you think this is valued at. Like the only way I would move this card is if you go buy a house for me. Then yeah, then maybe it's worth a trade. So yeah, like overall, it was hard to find, but also doesn't help the fact that people who have the F1 cards right now, they're avid collectors. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just not a lot of supply out there. So if they're holding them, the supply is even lower than what it actually perceived to be. And without the
Right.
wax, with limited wax supply, you don't have a lot hitting the market to begin with on
Exactly.
top of it. And it seems like the Sapphire product is the one that everyone wants, other
Hmm.
than Topps Chrome Refractors. So,
Yeah.
um, so the other market that you kind of play in that I don't, so I'd be curious to see your take on this, is like the mid tier to upper end, like LeBron Chrome 10s. I know that you made a Jordan play, right? I believe you got your first Jordan at the National.
Yeah. Were you there, Neil?
When you got it?
No, yeah, yeah, when I got it.
No, I don't think so. I think
Okay.
it was in between when I saw you the first day and when I saw you the second day. So,
Mhm.
like, how was that, mid tier to upper tier market moving at the National? Could you do a little bit more trades on that end because it was higher end for higher end? Was it still cash is king? Like, did that stuff seem to be moving well? I didn't really hear like a lot of LeBron buzz until Westbrook got traded. Like,
Mhm.
I didn't really hear like a ton of Jordan buzz. I know this stuff was moving, but like, wasn't like, oh my God, like, 15 PSA 10 Jordans sold today or anything crazy like that.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say they were like kind of, January, March Dallas card show where Jordan, LeBron, Kobe's were just like literally a golden ticket to heaven. In a sense, it definitely wasn't like that. But I mean, that's the thing about National that I realized was there's like these Jordan Fleer 10s and 9s are dime a dozen, right? And so it doesn't even get that kind of a big buzz. And so for me, I wasn't really looking for a Jordan card, but I was really mainly looking to sell my Bowman Chrome Brady 9.5 and Patrick Mahomes Prism 17 PSA 9. I was just trying to move them because I knew they were sought after given where we are in the NFL season, off season, and I wanted to get out of it now a little bit earlier. So as I was talking to a dealer, hey, like, what would you value these cards at? Would you be interested in them? He was very interested, but he wanted to do a trade and a potential cash on top. And then the only really card that I saw on the showroom that I liked outside of his Luca Gold was, which I cannot afford, rookie gold, was Jordan's BGS 85. And so we did a good trade. And yeah, I'm really happy about it. Hopefully, he was able to move either of those two cards there. If not, I fully trust that he already has buyers in line for it. But
Was
yeah,
that
it was
Coleman's Luca Gold you were looking at?
great.
I saw that too. As the three all
It's
laid
funny,
out, real
like,
nice
we joke, like, we fly all the way to Chicago and Dallas
to
to
do
do
the
deals
deal.
with each other. Like, we should have just done it, in our backyard.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was a good trade personally because I had the motivation to offload the football cards, and I think he just had some motivation to pick up cards that are, like liquidable right now, and people are looking for, and people are definitely looking for quarterbacks at the National. So yeah, it was a good trade, I think, on both sides.
Yeah, QBs in general were definitely the buzz of the show for
Yeah,
sure. That was the vibe that I got. We're pretty much,
yeah,
there were certain names that popped the most, but definitely it seemed to be a quarterback driven show, I would say.
yeah,
Um,
for sure.
so Hannah has to run soon, so we will close on this. So it was both of our first nationals. From your perspective, looking ahead to next year, is there anything that you would do differently, prepare differently, plan differently, anything like that coming off this one when you're like, oh man, I did not expect this. I wish I would have, X, Y,
Mhm.
or Z thing, anything like that that hops to mind.
Yeah, I'm really regretting going to the trade night just one night, but then Friday night I was pretty exhausted. So I think the new game plan or that everyone should kind of play is they should get there on Wednesday, earlier on or whenever the day starts of the national week, and then don't give out all your energy and like money and resource on the showroom, but really save that energy and recharge for trade nights, and it's quite an experience. Even if you don't make a deal that's like super big or whatever. Like it's just like different energy level that you feel at the trade nights and different level of like friendships that gets made there. I think I made like 4 new friends there who I'm texting right now about certain cards that we're in the middle of making deals with. So yeah, one thing for sure, I want to go to more trade nights than just one night. Um, yeah, and second, this is just more for specifically for content creators, I guess. But I did this interview, amazing interview with Point 4 Seconds on Instagram. But my mic must have been off, where my audio quality, looking back right now, is horrendous. And
Oh no.
yeah, so that's one thing where I'm like, always test, the mics before like you go live. So yeah, that's one learning that I'm having right now, I guess.
Yikes. So you guys and girls can check out Hannah at She Collects Cards. I know that you already dropped one national video earlier in the week. You kind of did like your little hotel room post spiel. And then do you have anything else? I assume you have some other stuff lined up for post national content dropping soon.
Yeah, I don't want to overwhelm the community with like, the same thing over and over again. So hopefully something new. And I like to do like sit down like you. So nothing like super creative and like entertaining probably, but hopefully some good insights that folks who didn't attend national can obtain. So yeah, that should be coming out soon.
Perfect. I'll link to all the channel and all the YouTube shenanigans and Instagram links and stuff in the description of the video, so people could find your stuff. But
Thanks so
you definitely
much.
have a unique take because, like I said, you're kind of I call you consider you like the queen of F1. You're my go. I don't follow the F1
Do
stuff, but
that.
like you're my go-to source for what the hot takes on the F1 market are. So,
Oh man.
but yeah,
Yeah.
go check out Hannah's content, and we will catch you guys and girls on the next one. Peace.
Yeah.